Well, welcome, everybody. If you're new, look in the chat here. I'm going to repost the link to the Excel spreadsheet. If you were in class, you also downloaded that in class when Professor Jerry was doing the demonstration. You can either open up that Excel spreadsheet that you were using in class, or this is the link to it. These are the Excel spreadsheets that are part of the textbook resources. All right, let's get started. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and the intent of this is I'm going to walk you through just on my screen how I solved problem 2, 3, and 4. I'll do this live in front of you. It is best if you have two screens and you open up your own Excel spreadsheet and just follow along with me. Feel free to come off mute if you have a question, and I will try to pause as I'm doing this to see if everyone is on the same page. So let me share the screen. So you should have in front of you can everyone see that Excel spreadsheet? Come off mute if you're not seeing the Excel spreadsheet.
No.
Yeah, I don't see it.
You're not seeing it. Okay, hold on one second. Try. Okay. Desktop 2. Gotcha. Now you should see it. All right. I think you are here. Hopefully, if you only have one screen, you can flip back and forth. Hopefully you have your own copy of this spreadsheet. It should look like this pretty much. I've added just one tab to this spreadsheet. So I am going to have you do one thing here. So you can see on the bottom of Excel, there are different worksheets and different tabs for worksheets. These are from your text. That's the first one that's open is table 3.4, table 3.8, table 3.9, table 3.10, table 3.11 plus. And then we worked on problem 1 in class with Jerry. They also have a problem 3.5, and I just added this for reference, this last tab for reference. But I'm going to have you go ahead and add a new spreadsheet, and I'll show you how to do that. You can just click on the plus on the bottom there, and that will add a new sheet. And you can move this sheet wherever you want just by dragging it. We're going to keep it right there after problem 3.1. And I'm going to have you rename that sheet, which you can do two ways. One, you can double click on it and just start typing. The other way is to control or right click on it. And comes up is a bunch of things in a menu here. And you can click rename. And you should rename this problem 3.2, which is the problem we're going to work on. Okay. So now you have a blank spreadsheet. It is completely blank. I'm just going to do this so you can follow along with what problem 3.2 says as we go along. Okay, so this is right from your textbook. the chapter 3 problems. And what we're going to do in problem 3.2 is, given the following table, calculate the profit margin for each medical service. The total revenue and profit for all services, the average revenue and profit, and the maximum and minimum revenue, profit, and profit margins. So what you need to do is, this is from your text. It's not structured in an Excel. You need to actually enter this data into the Excel spreadsheet. So in column A1 right here, I'm sorry, cell A1, B1 and C1, you should enter the category. And so right here in A1, enter service, type in service, and then you can click into B1, enter revenue. And you'll see in the question, in the problem, it is in millions. And then in C1, enter profit. So that's the categories we're talking about. And then you just need to enter all of this information into the Excel spreadsheet. So in line 2 there, row 2, cardiovascular surgery. And you'll see that that kind of goes over the border. And what you can do with any of these cells is you can change the size of the columns just by clicking on the line and dragging it. You'll see that column A gets bigger, so you can fit the titles of these things in there. Invasive cardiology. Click enter, neurosurgery. Orthopedic surgery. Gastroenterology. Oncology, etc. All the way to non-invasive cardiology. Okay, so I'm just going to pause there. Maybe if some of you could give me a thumbs up if you have this done so far, entered all of this information. And we're just entering data into the spreadsheet. Things you can do with this view. So, just like Microsoft Word or something, you could change the font of these things. You can bold the categories, so it makes it easier to read. You can also, if you just highlight these cells, you can put a border, like a bottom border on there. So that separates the category from the titles from the different things you're going to enter here. Give me a thumbs up once you have that done. Veronica, good. So many of you are getting that done. And you're going to do the same thing for the rest of the data. What I'd recommend because revenue is in millions, profit is in thousands, and we want to, calculate, we're going to calculate something. I'd recommend you just put the entire number in there. So instead of 11.4, put 11,400,000. And if you put that in cell B2, enter 11,400,000. And then click enter. So what you'll see is that's the number, 11,400,000. It's not very easy to read. And it doesn't have a dollar sign in front of it. And in Excel, you can change the format of the cell in a number of different ways. And these are all going to be dollars. And I'm going to show you. So if you just click on the cell and highlight all of these cells that you want to be formatted in dollars, on the home button here, on the home tab on the top, you'll see in the ribbon this area towards the middle. It says general. That's the format of the cell right now. It's just a general format. You can click in there and you can change that to currency. Then it'll show up like dollars. And every cell that is highlighted will show up like dollars. They are now formatted to be in dollars. You can change, we don't really need the cents in here. You can change the decimal points, and we don't need any decimal points because we're not talking about how many cents these things are. There are buttons up here to increase or decrease the decimal. I would just get rid of the cents. So all of those cells should look like that when they're formatted. And then you can just begin to enter the rest of the data under revenue. So invasive cardiology is 8 million. Click enter, it shows up as dollars, 7.5 million. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you're getting this far, where we have entered the categories in row 1. We put all the different service categories in
Can you
column
explain how to do
A.
the current thing again? Sorry.
Yep, you can. So right now, that's in currency. On the home screen, you will see in the middle, it says currency. Initially, it was just under general, and it looked like that. But we changed it to currency. And I can show you a couple different ways. By clicking on the little triangle, it gives you all the options. You can change it to currency. The default is it has 2 decimal places. On these buttons, you can change the number of decimal places. I'm sorry, I got to click in the cell, and you can decrease that to 0 decimal places. I'm going to do it again for you, just real quickly. Show you two different ways to do this. One is you can
Thank
see
you.
it already.
I think I got it now.
Yeah. One, you can see they already have a dollar sign button right here. It's quicker to do it that way. The other way that is common is to option click or right click, and you will see you can format cells here. And then you can pick number, currency, and this gives you the decimal place here. Many ways to do it. All right. So enter the profit of each service. So cardiovascular surgery, 625,000. 690. So give me a thumbs up when you get this far and we'll move on, but we have put the categories up here. The individual services. We learned how to format a cell to currency using the home screen. We entered all of the revenue. And we entered all the profit. Now we have structured data inside of a spreadsheet that we can work with. Thanks. Yep, give me a thumbs up when you get there. Some of you are getting there. That's great. So I'm just going to read the problem again. Given the following table, which we now have in Excel, so we don't have to use a calculator or something manually. Calculate the profit margin for each medical service. That's the first question. We're also going to calculate the total revenue and profit for all services, the average revenue and profit, and the maximum and minimum revenue profit and profit margin. So we're going to calculate the profit margin. So on cell D here, we're going to do that in column D, write profit margin. And then we're going to use the Excel calculator functions to do that. Now, profit margin is the profit divided by the revenue. And we can use Excel to make that calculation for us. So in cell D2, right under profit margin, put equals. That means Excel is going to make a calculation. And then we want to divide the profit by the revenue for cardiovascular surgery. The profit is located in cell C2. When you enter C2, it highlights that cell. And backslash is the command for divided by. And then you can enter cell B2, the revenue. So you can see that formula there equals C2 divided by B2. If you press enter, it's going to calculate that, and you get 0.0548, which is 5.48%. Now, this again is a general format. We can change the format of this to percent because that's how profit margin is typically reported as a percent. Same thing under the home button. It's under general right now. You can go to percentage. And it changes that to percentage. I'm going to back that up again. You can do that under general and go to percentage. You can also do it. There's a quick button here. No, percentage. I'm sorry. There's a button right there that says percentage. It does that automatically. The default there is no decimal points. You can increase or decrease the decimal points. I like it with 2. I think it looks good. So you've done the calculation. Excel has done the calculation for profit margin for you right here through that formula equals C2 slash B2. This divided by this. You could do the same thing right here. This would equal C3 divided by B3. And it calculated it for you. Now we want all of these as in percentages. So we can format them as percent with 2 decimal points. The other way to do this that makes it quick, if you have a formula in one cell, you can actually copy and paste that formula. So we have this formula here. You can go to copy up on the upper left on the home screen. It outlines what you're copying, and you can actually paste that formula. Just highlight everything here and paste that formula. And you have all of those. And when you have a formula and you paste it, it actually shifts the cell according to, which line you're on. So that was C2 divided by B2. This is C3 divided by B3, C4 divided by B4, etc. So that's one way to copy and paste. There's actually a faster way in Excel to copy and paste. When you have a formula, back this out. So if you have this formula, C2 divided by B2, you can actually just take the square on the right lower corner of that cell and drag it all the way down to where you want that formula to go. And let it go, and you've copy and pasted with one click. So give me a thumbs up when you get there. And again, I'm recording this, so if you fall behind, you can, hopefully I'll be able to post this and you can watch it later. Looks like some people have a thumbs up. Thank you. Feel free to come off mute if you want me to repeat something or having challenges. All right, so we've got the labels. We entered the data, the revenue, profit, and now we used Excel to calculate the profit margin. We learned how to copy and paste a formula by either using the copy and paste it into all those functions, or even more simply, you have that formula, you can drag that square all the way down where you want that formula to go. Okay, so the second part of problem 2 is to for each medical service, total revenue and profit for all services, average revenue and profit, maximum and minimum revenue, profit, and profit margin. So here, we're going to do those calculations here. On A13, type in a total and enter. In A14, we want to calculate average. In an A15, maximum. A16, minimum. Once we get all this done, you will have problem 2 done. One thing for your professors, if you want to make it easier for us to know what you did, you can highlight that you calculated the profit margin. Just fill in those cells with a color like yellow or any color you like. But yellow is nice. Okay, so you have these things entered, A13, 14, and 15, total, average, maximum, and minimum. We're going to use the Excel functions to calculate this. So for total, we're going to go on top. You'll see home, insert, draw, page, layout. We're going to go to formulas. And a couple ways to total the sum here. You can insert a function. So up or left, you'll see insert function, and you're in cell B13. Click insert function. You'll see a window open up. And in Excel, total is sum, S-U-M. You can search for sum, and it highlights sum. and insert that function. And you'll see that it automatically highlights the cells above it, B2 to B12. B12 is empty, so we don't really need to include that. You can change which cells you want to add together just by clicking on the cells and dragging down. So you'll see it says sum B12 colon B11. I'm sorry, B2, B11. So it is adding all of those cells from B2 to B11. And if you, on the right-hand side on that formula builder, click done, you should get the sum of all of those numbers. 55,900,000. I'm going to show you a different way to do that. So you can do that with the formula builder. For commonly used formulas, there's actually a button right next to the formula builder function thing. You can, what's highlighted there is auto sum. There's also common functions in here. You can actually just click on sum here, and it will do the same thing. Highlight the cells you want it to add together. Click enter. 55,900,000 is the sum. You can do the same thing for profit. Click on cell C13. Click on sum. Highlight the cells you wanted to add together. So you now have the total revenue and the total profit. You can go back to home, highlight that for your professor to see what you did. And we're getting close to finishing problem 2 here. So average, same type of thing. You're just going to use the average function instead of the sum function. Go back to formulas on the top, insert function. You can find average. It was used recently there. You can type in average. Click on it, insert that function. You'll see again, it highlights everything above it. We only want the average of these, and click enter, or click done on the formula builder on the right. You'll see that the average of all of this is 5,590,000 average revenue for the services. You can do that in a different way because average is a common formula. Under the auto sum button, the drop down, you will see averages there. Just highlight what you want to average, 5,590,000. Then we can do the same thing for profit. What's the average profit per service line? Go to average and highlight those numbers. I'm going to pause there. Give me a thumbs up if you are mostly getting this. You can highlight that for your professor. You can also average the profit margin if you want. Under formula. Some average. Me. Too. Okay. And we want to average these here, not those. Profit margin is not in dollars. So again, you want to go to on the home screen, formatting of the cell, which is percent, and add a couple. So the average profit margin of the services is 8.14%. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're close to being there. Come off mute if you have a specific question. Otherwise, I will keep moving on to these minimum and maximum functions. Very similar. You're going to go to formulas on the top, find the maximum, which for Excel is max. Insert that function and highlight the cells you want to find the maximum for, and click done. Makes sense. Maximum is 11,400,000. You can do the same thing for profit. Insert the function, highlight the, click done. You can do the same thing for profit margin, which service is having the maximum profit margin. Insert the function. Oops, I messed that up. Go into now I really messed it up. Backwards. Go into cell D15. Maximum, insert the maximum function. Highlight the cells you want it to calculate. Click done. So the maximum profit, you can see gastroenterology, 9.74%. Highlight that for your professor to know what you did. And you can do minimum as well. And minimum, is min. Insert that, highlight, click done. So this is pretty much the answer to problem 2, chapter 3. We have calculated the profit margins of each service. We calculated the total revenue and profit of all services, the average, and the minimum, and the maximum and the minimum. Let me pause there. Anyone have any question before I move on to problem 3? Okay, great. All right. We'll do problem 3. And what I want you to do for problem 3 is you see all of these worksheets on the bottom. Now, problem 3 says using the table in problem 3.2, that's the table we just created, create a pie chart showing the percent of revenue generated by each medical service. What percent of total inpatient revenue is generated by the 3 largest services? So you can actually make a copy of this spreadsheet. So, just click on the right click or control click on the tab, problem 3.2 on the bottom there. And you'll see a menu pop up. And you want to move or copy. We want to copy this because we want to use the same chart we just created. And you need to click on the square on the bottom there, create a copy. And then you can tell it where to move it. We'll move it right before problem 3.5. And you click OK. So you'll see that this is the copy. It is exactly the same as the previous because it's a copy. I want you to rename this one. This is the one we're going to use for problem 3. You can rename this problem 3.3 by either double clicking on it or control click or right click on it and rename. All right, so we're going to use this spreadsheet to create the pie chart, the percent of revenue. So we're really only concerned about the revenue piece of this for this problem. We can probably, if you want, get rid of the profit and profit margin columns. You can do that by highlighting those columns, and you can control click or right click on what you've highlighted there and delete them. We don't need these rows either. We've already done this for problem 2. You can highlight them. Actually, we probably want the total because that's a calculation we want to use. But we don't need the average or minimum or maximum. You can highlight those. Rows 14, 15, and 16. Right click or control click, delete them. So we have the revenue per service line and the total revenue. They want us to know what the percent of the total revenue is for each service. So you can put percent here in C1. And then we're going to calculate that for cardiovascular surgery in cell C2. And the percent is going to be the revenue for cardiovascular surgery divided by the total. So that's, again, a pretty simple math equation. So you click equals B2 divided by B13. So you get 0.2, that's actually 20%. On the home button, you can change that to percent right in the middle there, percent style. You might want to add some decimal places, 20.4%. Another way to do this is you can, instead of actually typing in the cell, you can push equals, and you can just click in that cell, B2, and that shows up, slash, then you can click in B13 cell, and you don't have to type it in. You can just click in those cells, and you come up with that again. And we can go percent style and add a decimal place. So in the last problem, we copy and pasted a formula and brought it down. This won't necessarily work in this one because you're going to get a divide by 0. And what happens here is you're dividing B2 by B13. But when you copy and paste, you're now dividing B3 by B14. We need to fix this formula, the denominator, to B13. So come back up to cell C2. And in order to fix which cell, which row and column you want that data to be when you copy and paste it, you put a $ in front of B and a $ in front of 13. That means that denominator is fixed to B13. And now you can actually copy and paste these, and it should show up. All right. So we have the percent of revenue by each service line calculated. We're able to use the formula. We learned how to fix cells using the $ in front of the letter and the number in order to copy and paste them. And we have all the percentages calculated. Give me a thumbs up if you're there. Come off mute if you have a specific question or want me to repeat something. You can highlight this for your professor. No, we did it. So we are going to create a pie chart out of this data. Highlight the data that you want to use for your pie chart. Excel is really powerful in being able to provide graphs that provide a lot of information to people in a picture. And I'm very visual, so I really appreciate a graphic. People, if you show people this, they might get it. Yep, cardiovascular has the highest revenue and percent, and cardiology non-invasive has lowest. If you show it in a picture, oftentimes that is more impactful. So I'm going to show you how to make the pie chart, highlight all of this data. That's what we're going to use for the pie chart. The graph chart functions in Excel are under Insert at the top. And towards the middle there, you're going to see all these graphing functions. And here you're going to see different types. Obviously, you can see the circle one is pie. You can click on the arrow, the little triangle there. It'll give you different options for pie charts. I would recommend just a standard 2-dimensional pie chart for most data. So you can click on that. You have the data you want highlighted there. And if you click on that, it will automatically generate a pie chart. You can move this around just by grabbing it. I'm going to move it down just so it's a little, whoops, out of the way here. You can enlarge it if you want. And I think what's really cool is, this is not a great looking chart for that many different services, to have them all different colors and then the key listed on the bottom. It's really hard to read. People have to go back and forth. You can see at the top of Excel that there are many different options. You can actually click on this down triangle. It will pop up. Maybe I want one of these charts instead. This one on the lower left looks really much better to me than current view. You can click on that and it will change it to this, right? You can change the colors up on that view. Maybe you like different colors or monochromatic. I don't mind the colorful one, but and you can see that, okay, yeah, cardiovascular has the most, in non-invasive cardiology has the least. It actually shows you data when you hover over those things. But if you want to display the percentage in the labels, go ahead and click on the label. You'll see when you click on one label, it highlights all of them. And then control click or right click on that label. And you'll see different options here. And what I would recommend is you can format the data labels on the different options. And you'll see when you format labels, it'll come up with different things you can add to the labels, including percentage. And that's what we're looking for, is percentage. Also, you could include the value, and it will list both. I kind of like that if I'm looking at a chart. What is the value? So I'm going to back that out again and show you that again. So we have this chart. If you click on one of the labels, it'll highlight all of them. If you right click or control click, you can get to format those labels, and you can include the percentage in there. A lot of things you can do with these charts. You can, change the title, revenue by service. Again, you can change the color up here and change the type of chart. Go back to this one. I'll go back to, I like the colorful one. Hopefully you are all keeping up on that. And if you have a spreadsheet that looks like this and turn that in, you have calculated all the percents. You have made the pie chart. And the last part of problem 3 is what percent of the total inpatient revenue is generated by the 3 largest services. One way to do that is to use Excel to add those together. I'll show you how to use Excel to do that. The 3 largest services, these are already sort of ordered in the largest to smallest. Those are these: cardiovascular surgery, invasive cardiology, and neurology. You could put a line here that says 3 largest services. And they want to know what percent. You could just say it equals this, C2 plus C3 plus C4, and click enter. Those 3 largest services account for 48.1%. You could highlight that for your professor. And if you turn this in, you get a perfect grade for problem 3. The other cool thing in Excel is, if you're just looking at Excel and someone asks you, hey, how much is that for the 3 largest services? You can actually just do that on the fly. You can highlight those 3 largest services, and you'll notice on the bottom of Excel, it shows you some information, the average, the count, and the sum, 48.1%, right on the bottom right of your Excel spreadsheet. You can say, well, how much is that in total dollars? You can highlight that. That's $26.9 million. So a lot of cool things you can do in Excel. All right. Come off mute if you have a question about that. I'm just going to do a time check and see if we have time. We have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to quickly go through problem 3.4. And I'm going to have you again make a copy of problem 3.2. Right click, control click, move or copy. You want to copy. And again, I would put this right before problem 3.5. But if you didn't put it there, move it around to wherever you want. Move it there, move it here. But we'll keep them in order. And then you can rename this one problem 3.4, double click. And using the table in problem 3.2, which we have here, create a column chart displaying the profit margin by medical service ordered from highest to lowest margin. What services have the highest and lowest profit margins? So we are really concerned about this, and we're going to create a column chart with that information. You don't really need this information in row 13, 14, 15, and 16. So you can delete that, highlight those rows, control, right click or control click and delete them. So this is what we're mostly concerned about when we want to create a column chart and identify which services have the highest and lowest profit margins. To create a column chart, again, that's charting. We're going to highlight the data that we want to use. You can highlight it all, or you can just highlight some of it. We want the names. And if you highlight those, and I think it is Option or Command, click, you can highlight that. So you can highlight separate data. I'll show you something. If you just highlight it all, and we go to Insert, and we want a column chart, which you can see here, column, probably just a standard column chart. Now, this is highlighting all of that data. So you're going to come up with a chart that actually includes revenue, profit, and profit margin in different columns. If you have more data than you actually want, I'm just going to move this down. You can actually select the data. You can see it has revenue, profit, and profit margin. Those are all in there. We're only concerned about profit margin, so you can remove revenue by highlighting it and clicking the minus button. You can remove the profit, highlighting it, clicking the minus button. And what you're left with is just the profit margin data, and click OK. All right, so there's your column chart. It is not in the format we want, though. It says to rank this from highest to lowest. And I'm going to show you the way I like to best sort data. I know Jerry showed you how to do that in the first class. There's actually, I think, a little more simpler and powerful way that I like to use. Highlight the data that you want to sort. You can highlight all of this. And under data, you will see a filter. If you click on that filter with that highlighted data, you're going to see that these triangles pop up on the top line of that data, the top row. These are really powerful because these allow you to sort them ascending or descending. So if you click ascending, it's going to go from smallest to lowest for revenue, back to descending. We're most concerned about profit margin. If you click on that triangle, we can now sort all of that data in descending order. And you'll see it did two things. It changed the table, but it also changed your column graph. So now gastroenterology has the highest profit margin and is on the left. Internal medicine has the lowest profit margin, it is on the right. With these charts, you can go to chart design, you can change the colors if you like. I like blue. You can change the font of these different axes. Since it's only one category, you can get rid of the key here just by deleting it. You can change the title, profit margin by service. And you can add labels to this, and sometimes that's really helpful. So you'll notice if you click on the columns, it highlights all of them. You could control or right click now, and it'll say add labels. I like to do that so people know that I don't have to actually just squint and read that that's 9.74. So the last part, and then we'll finish here. Which service has the highest and lowest profit margins? you can see right here, gastroenterology, orthopedic surgery are highest because it's sorted, general cardiovascular surgery, internal medicine. I'm going to show you one way that you can answer this in your Excel spreadsheet for your professor. You can go under insert at the top. You can add a text box. And so you click on text box up on the upper right there. And if you want to, sorry, text box, add a text box for us, that would be great. You can answer the question by text saying gastroenterology and orthopedic surgery have the highest profit margins of 9.74% and 9.52%. Cardiovascular surgery and internal medicine have the lowest of 9.48% and 4.74%. There's a text box. So to conclude, we're 2 minutes. We were able to take the profit margin, use the filter function, which you find under data, and put it in descending order. You also do it in ascending order, most often when you want it in descending order. But you'll see that as you change those things, it also changes the graph you made. We made this beautiful column chart. We added the labels to it, changed the title a little bit, and we added a text box so you can finish the answer, the last part of question 4. So that concludes our session. I will stay on for a few more minutes if anyone has specific questions. But otherwise, thank you for attending. And I think I pressed record. I hope it works. And I will post the video link when I get a chance. Any questions?
I have a quick one.
Yeah.
So for the chart, I think I missed it. I was trying to delete the profit and the revenue. I don't know how you did it. Can you go over that
Okay.
again?
Yes. Let me go back. And also, well, I'm sorry, what's your name?
My name's Aisha.
Aisha, nice to see you. If everyone else, feel free to hang on or feel free to hang up if you are done. I'm going to just quickly redo problem 3.5. So I'm going to just make another copy here. And I'll kind of go through it just once again for you, Aisha. So create a copy, which will be over here. I'm going to move it and call it problem 3.
Like I have the chart, but like
Yeah.
when you were on the chart and you had to delete the, I don't know.
So are you talking about deleting this stuff?
No, like I don't even know how to show it to you. When I did everything, I got the chart, like the actual like bar graph, but then you like cleaned it up a bit and you deleted. So like, I don't, could you go back to where the
Oh, yeah, there it is. I'm
bar graph?
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so like,
3.4.
you know how at the bottom it had revenue, profit, and profit margin? That's how mine looks like. It doesn't look like yours because I think you went and like took something off of, like you
Okay.
edited the chart basically. But
Oh, here, this chart you're
yeah.
talking about?
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom it had, oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, let me just do this again. I'm going to make another chart. Let's see if this helps. That probably doesn't help. It's the same chart. Tell me again. I'm just,
I can share my screen and show you. I don't know
oh,
if it's
sure. Sure. Let me stop sharing.
okay. You have to enable it so I can. I wonder if I can do it now. Yeah, it says host disabled participant screen.
Hold on 1 second. Is that on the top that I enable?
Okay, let me try again.
I'm just going to stop the recording here.